happen as a matter of agency, because we cannot have people that are given the responsibility to run and ensure that the workplace is safe as it is required by the Occupational Health and Safety Act, and they become negligent in carrying out that responsibility. So as unions jointly, we will be seeking advice in terms of the lawsuit that we need to actually put against the departments, because there are 3 departments involved in here, and we have to also make sure that those people who are responsible for the deployment of those who are running these departments must also take responsibility and accountability for the death of our colleagues.
Yesterday, Thabo Masebe, Gauteng's provincial government spokesperson, said investigations by the SAPS forensic unit are continuing. He also says the government continues to hold meetings with staff members, but Nehawu says the government doesn't seem to have a proper plan in place. The union said they are not elated with the time off given to employees, while the government is finding space, as this comes at the expense of the taxpayer and productivity. The union is also saying they are working with other unions, seeking advice as to how to go about persuading or pursuing, I should say, a lawsuit against government. Thabo Masebe is in studio with us. Thabo, good to see you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
So we've got comments, and quite scathing comments, coming out of Nehawu yesterday, saying government doesn't seem to have a plan in place. Is there clarity as to what should actually happen?
There is clarity, Leanne. What happened, you'd recall that the Bank of Lisbon caught fire last week. We evacuated staff, about more than 1,000 staff from 3 departments work from that building. Because of the fire, we had to send them home. But from yesterday, we held meetings with the affected departments, the 3 departments, plus the other departments that work from the other buildings that were assessed and found not to be in compliance with the Occupational Health and Safety Act.
Yeah.
So we then decided as the provincial government that we are going to evacuate all of those buildings so that urgent work can commence to deal with the defects that were found in the report. While that happens, we are now going to find alternative office space where all these employees will be able to work from.
So as it stands right now, these employees are sitting at home. They're not working.
They are not sitting at home. So as from yesterday, every head of department from the affected departments presented their plans. They met with senior management. They met with all the staff and agreed on or rather identified the places where the staff can report from.
Okay.
Some will go to regional offices.
Okay.
Some will go to other offices that were identified by senior management.
So productivity hasn't been affected, so it is business as usual. Is that what you're saying? So
from today, it is business as usual. It can't be quite business as usual because we've had to evacuate 9 buildings.
Yeah.
So, and with regard to the 3 departments that were using the Bank of Lisbon, they now have to find new premises. We are expediting the process of doing that, but at the same time, we have found alternative space where they can work from.
Okay, which we'll have to see how that goes, because I can only imagine that this is still going to have an effect on the respective departments. I mean, 9 buildings. How many people are we talking about? These are a lot of employees.
Yeah, it is quite a lot.
How many do you think?
I don't have the number now of it, but it is quite a lot because it's quite, I mean, there are 3 departments in the Bank of Lisbon, and there are more departments that were using the other buildings, and those would include e-government, treasury, the Office of the Premier, the Department of Roads and Transport, social development, and so on.
Yeah, these are major departments, but it's taken quite a massive tragedy, and we've had to lose firefighters for this to now suddenly become a priority. And you've always said it's been a priority to try and evacuate these buildings and find alternative places because the buildings have been declared unsafe. However, nothing was done. Now we're seeing something done because of the events that have unfolded. Why was this not a priority? Why weren't these buildings evacuated a long time ago?
It was a priority, Leanne. We've been concerned about the conditions of these buildings. And last year we commissioned this assessment study to look at the conditions, and we only received the report at the end of August. So as soon as we received the report, of course, unfortunately, this was at the time when the fire also broke out at the Bank of Lisbon.
Yeah. If we go back to a report, because Nehawu are saying they want recourse for this disaster. And going back to what happened, Gauteng Infrastructure MEC Mamabolo confirmed that he did in fact receive a warning about the substandard condition of several buildings in the Joburg CBD, which you now have admitted. Yes. 9 buildings have been completely evacuated. What has happened between the time of the report and the time that the building actually caught fire? Why was the action not taken immediately? I know you tried to answer it, but I'm finding it difficult to understand when you get a report like that. You say, look, guys, this is bad. We got to go. Let's move on, or let's start fixing.
There's been work going on in that department, in that building. But now, obviously, it is clear that even that work to attend to things that were identified at the time may not have been adequate. So, and that is why we have now taken a decision that we're going to evacuate all the affected buildings.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, just staying a few minutes. I want to get the news to our viewers at 8 o'clock, and then we'll wrap up the interview afterwards. Do we have your time on that one?
Yeah, we do.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you so much. Thabo Masebe is the spokesperson for the Gauteng Provincial Government. He's just giving us a perspective at this point about and an update on the government plans to do while employees will be sitting, well, at home. As you heard, they're not sitting at home. They've been taken to other buildings to do their work. But I can imagine it's going to have an adverse effect now that 9 buildings have been evacuated due to their substandard conditions right now. But let's get the news to you at 8. We'll continue this interview after.